Hey everybody, welcome to the Eric Christopher podcast. I'm trying to do a dramatic entrance. Damn it! So I started the podcast, and I was going to try to do a cool dramatic entrance where you just kind of entered in as I said who you were, and then I fucked that up, so it sounds terrible. But that's the nature of this podcast. So my guest today is Ryan S. Sweeney. S is your middle initial.
Yes, and my last name is Sweeney.
Yeah.
It's a family name. It's a long family name. It's been
It's how long?
It's been my family for years.
How long is it? About 8 inches?
It's 8 so long.
All right, sweet.
So it's so long it transcends decades.
Decades. So yeah, you were drinking your water. I was hoping you'd do a spit take, but you know what? This isn't going to be on video anyway, so it's okay.
Okay. That makes it better.
This is Ryan Sweeney. Who the Sween Bean, as I've come to call him, and as one of our former bandmates once texted me, probably drunk off his balls at 2 in the morning, I can't believe it! It's Ryan's Weenie! We never thought of it! 4 years, we never thought of that. We fucked up big time. Alright, so tell us what you do for a living.
Oh, what I do for a living is I work at a social media marketing company, and I work in analytics. So the company, we manage the pages for brands on Facebook and Twitter and other.
Are you allowed to say any of the names of the people that you represent?
I'll keep it confidential for this.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
But they specific broadcast in the event that this goes south, and
it will. Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, the reason why that's fine. Then I'll just say the names. No, I'm just kidding. But they are big corporations that everyone listening has heard of. Correct?
Yes.
You play with the big leagues.
I play the big
leagues.
That's
the point I'm trying to.
Yeah.
But here's something that's really interesting about your job, and we'll go back in time and talk about how you and I know each other and your background in music. Because normally I have musicians or comedians on this thing, and currently you are neither, correct?
Yes, correct. Well, I mean, I like to think that I'm funny, but that's a really depressing thing to say.
Yeah, dude, that's why I love having comics on. I need to start just asking them, so you're funny, right? See how uncomfortable they get.
Well, actually, my set is a complete portrayal of my depression, and the fact that you're laughing at it. It offends me deeply.
I went into this trying to be a dramatic actor, but people kept laughing, so you know what? Fuck it. So here's the thing that I find so interesting about your job is that what you do, granted you're working with companies and brands as opposed to bands and artists, but as we've got more into bands and artists starting to brand themselves and work more on their marketing game than the actual art game, because let's be honest, at this point, your art it doesn't come secondary. You have to have a good product, but the marketing is what's going to set you apart from all of those other people. And so what you do is, okay, I've met so many people who work in the music marketing game, who use far less scientific methods than you, or than what you do, your job, your whatever, your company, who are who know. So usually they're on par with the average mid-level band. That's the amount of knowledge they have of the industry. Some have more, some have less. However, their way of getting out to fans is really, it's almost a lot of it's a crapshoot. But these are the people who get hounded on by bands and are extremely popular in music scenes. But here you sit, someone who actually does something that could gain a lot more reach for bands than what a lot of other people are doing in the industry. And it's just, it hasn't been converted yet into art, into helping artists. I predict that what you do, because you've helped my band a bit on this, and you actually, the things that you suggested, we've continued to do. And it's been unbelievable the amount of Facebook reach and interactions that we've gotten through through one day of you. And I should clarify to everyone out there, since my band's not famous, I know that doesn't bode well for necessarily. But you didn't sit down and work with us for months, like a manager or someone else would. You looked at our page for like a minute and you're like, here's a couple of tips you can do, and all of them worked beyond anything that we had been doing. It would have taken us years to figure out some very simple things that you already knew through what you do. I predict that probably in the next 10 years, every single band who's at the point where they would get a manager, or they would get an agent or a PR, whatever, I think that your job would also they would need to get someone like you. That's what I predict in the next 10 years. Like you would go, it'd be like, oh yeah, we'll get a manager, we got our PR, and we got our Sweeney. What would be your title, I guess?
Well, my title of what I do is director of analytics. So
they would need an analyst. Yes, they would need an analyst. Got it.
Someone to direct their analytics.
Exactly. Yeah. But I really think that's so. I made some bold claims just then. So let me ask you, now that I've made very bold claims, do you see what you do having a practical application with bands? Obviously, you'd have to adjust the methods a little bit and figure out. You're kind of like jumping into a new body of water in that when you're trying to get fans of something, it's a little bit different than when you're selling a product. But do you feel like you could transfer over the research methods successfully to the point where bands would want to have someone almost on staff to like every week or every month keep that up?
Oh, most definitely. So with bands, you're not only making this art and this product and trying to sell tickets to shows and gain fans, you're trying to maintain the relationship with these people. So where analytics can be incredibly important is through, tools that Facebook provides. They provide demographic information. They provide, they've even started providing some psychographic information as far as what kind of other pages your fans might like. So you can use that information to understand where your current fans are, to see if they meet the demographic that you want to reach, if you have a demographic in mind. If not, you can just kind of get to know who already likes your music and tailor content that you're putting out on these pages to help further and deepen the relationship with your fans. So you're providing them not only with music that they like, but content that relates to them as well, and that helps to continue that conversation with your fans and about the one thing that you all love together. It's music, and hopefully your music. So and that's Facebook I cited. Web analytics are also incredibly important.
And for bands out there know that Bandcamp has some incredible analytics as well.
I haven't seen their analytics recently, but a couple years ago I saw their what they had set up. I'm sure it's much more advanced now, but I remember it providing analytics on how many people listened completely through a song, how many people paused during a song and where they paused or dropped off. And I'm sure that they've found some way to link that to download conversions or merch sale conversions. As I said, I'm speaking and I haven't looked at it yet. But.
No, they also now in their pro feature, which I don't have because we don't move enough volume to like really demand beyond. Like we're not selling more than 200 downloads a month, so we don't really need to move on past it. But I know that their analytics are great for preparing tour stuff because they'll tell you exactly where, I'm guessing using IP addresses or whatever other shady shit that goes on, where everyone who listens to your stuff came from. And they'll, like right now, they'll give you for free. They'll give you all their what links they clicked on or where they were directed from.
That's awesome.
Now, I think that's really interesting how you point out maintaining the fan base. So that's one thing that I think a lot of bands don't pay attention to. I never did for the longest time because it's such a struggle to get fans in the first place that like you forget that you can't just go get a fan and then sit back and they're your fan forever. Even if you like don't put out any shitty music and you just like people move on, especially if you're trying to get them to come see you live once or twice a year. And so with that, go on.
So we talked about Facebook as the first source. I mean, of course, there are many other social networks.
I'm going to beg you to talk about YouTube at some point.
All right, fine. So Facebook, I mean, to your point, you get a fan, and then what? What I found is a struggle with Facebook on the brand side of things, and then also on the me as a consumer, on on the band side of things, we're seeing a decrease in what's called organic reach. So Facebook puts out their analytics. You can go, if you have a page, you can go download them. It's really fun if you haven't, if you have a page. You can see how many impressions a post gets, which means how many eyeballs or time someone has viewed content, hypothetically. Could have scrolled past it, not actually digested it. But anyways, that's how it's measured. And it's broken out into 3 categories, except now they're actually combining 2 of them. Long story. There are organic impressions, which now also include the third type of impression, which is viral impressions. Organic impressions are what Facebook serves to the newsfeed, to a user's newsfeed. So if a band or a brand posts something, anything, whatever, the number of people, it runs through an algorithm of who it thinks will be interested in this content, serves it to those people, and those people see it. That's considered an organic impression. If one of the people that sees it shares it, that generates impressions as well. Those are considered viral impressions, so spreading beyond the initial impression. And then there are paid impressions, which are, you're a band or a brand, you pay to boost your post and target specific people, and it serves an impression to that target.
Dude, speaking of the sponsored ads,
yes.
I saw, just a quick aside, I saw one of the boldest, like total meta ads where it was a band, and it said it's like a fun, catchy band that really rewards those who are curious to click. Oh. It was their sponsor ad, and I was like, you just said, everyone's like, how do I get the curious to click on it? Hey, how about we just tell the curious to click? Oh, that's insane. Sorry, please go on.
Sad thing is, I bet they had a pretty good click-through rate.
I know, because they were the first person to do it. Anyone who's the first person to do it, even if it's a shitty, hacky idea, is usually gets some speed off it.
BuzzFeed.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I don't know anyone. Dude, I've started. I did this video podcast with a bunch of other people who, most of them are in. It's like a rotating panel, okay. And they're all like, a lot of them are in the media side of music, and like I know somebody who like has full-time job at BuzzFeed. And I always go back and forth on the art versus commerce. So I was like, yeah, if that funds you to do something else with it, but I couldn't imagine that just being my outlet for writing, like a site like that. Anyway, goddamn clickbait. Sorry, were you going to keep going? Or,
yes. Yes.
Okay,
so,
go.
So those are the different types of impressions, and Facebook's pushing. They're saying that if you don't see something in your newsfeed, that means that Facebook's algorithm deems that you're not interested in it. Likely because you haven't engaged with content from them recently or whatever. But it seems like that's kind of their excuse for pushing pages to pay to boost content. Because what I found frustrating, so that's from almost a band's perspective, or band or brand's perspective. And so it's becoming increasingly difficult when you're being pushed to boost content where you have this organic community that you're trying to develop, and that becomes harder and harder, not just to get fans, but to keep fans, because you want to make sure that their content is being delivered to these people. But it's decreasingly not being delivered, and so it's frustrating as a consumer, because I disagree with Facebook's statement that says if you're not receiving that content, that means you probably don't want to see it. That's not true at all. I've liked countless bands on Facebook because I want to see relevant information, like when they're touring, when they're coming to my location, when they're releasing a new album.
And you don't want to click on the page every single time, like every couple months. Yeah,
I don't want to have to like every single piece of content in order to get that information. I just want that information.
That's basically, so every time a band posts something, it's almost like it's you clicking like is you going, I'll subscribe for another week. That sounds good.
Which is terrible. I mean, if you're liking something, you're opting into it. To me, that's saying I am actively clicking this button because I like this band, I want to receive information. And I find myself not seeing that information, or seeing that information too late, like a few days after the fact, seeing that a band played at a venue near me. and
Oh, that's the worst.
that pisses me off.
Because everyone's talking about it in your area, and
Yeah.
then like, oh, this happened in your area, you might care. And you're like, well, I would have cared 3 days ago.
Exactly.
So I think there are two sides to that. I think one, well, a couple of extra sides, I should say. So you're coming at it from a perspective of someone who really, really loves music. There are a lot of people out there who really, really love feeling like they're connected to bands or feeling cool because they like a lot of bands people don't know.
Yeah.
You and I have never been like that. No way. We've never, not at all. And so I think part of it is, as you have all these, I would argue middle school, high school, maybe even college, where you have a lot of people who are just clicking like on a shit ton of things that they don't care to check in on. They just want to I want to have 2,000 likes on my band page so it'll look cool, or whatever, of my band section on my About Me page. So I think part of that, like in the Facebook's defense, is they're like, well, our main user base for the most active users would be younger people, and if younger people really aren't paying attention to that, then great. Now, the more cynical view, which I think is probably more accurate, is because Facebook has such, like, I hear people saying, okay, let's go make MySpace popular again for bands, or we should find a page that's all about bands, and bands can just post on there, and that's where they can social network, like Bandcamp. But the problem is, the reason Facebook has been so successful at maintaining and building these fan bases is because it's a place people already go anyway. I mean, this is social networking 101. It's a place where people are going to go anyway for other things. It's a great hub for all social interaction. And so then if you're hosting your music there, it's like, well, they're going to be on Facebook anyway. They don't need to go on Facebook to check out music. They're going on Facebook to check out life, and I just have to have my music on their life page, and then they'll be able to hear it. I think Facebook obviously knows this, and so they're like, well, we have the greatest like opportunities for artists to get, or whatever, groups to be discovered, so why not make it that it's all paid ads? Why not make it so that we control the cash flow and it's no longer just a free market, whoever likes who they like? Which is what I don't think it's good, but I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what I want to transition that into is discuss how I think there is and will be and should be a great migration of bands to YouTube, and the reason why is because YouTube is bigger than just music. It's bigger than like just going to Bandcamp, where you have to want to seek out just music. That's the form of entertainment you want to seek out if you were to like locate centrally on Bandcamp. That's how people are going to find you. That's not the most effective way. Obviously, Facebook is, because as we discussed, it's the life page. It's not the music page. And you made a face. Do you disagree with that?
I'm just partially offended because to me, music is a part of life, and I'd rather see band updates than wedding pictures and baby photos.
And that's fair. But you're a true music lover. A lot of people just want to feel like they're connected to something, just to feel again. And so, like, I feel like switching over to YouTube is a little bit of a best of both worlds, because one. And this is just studies left and right are saying that people are finding new music on YouTube more than anywhere else. Like, people actually go to YouTube and go, I want to find like new music or find shit that I haven't heard of, which is why a lot of bands will do a couple of covers, like a couple shittily recorded acoustic covers, and all of a sudden their stuff is blowing up if people went to the covers through, what's it called? Just stumbling on it. That's kind of, that's the stumble audience is what a lot of bands really try to get when it comes to new fans, because that's the easiest way to. And the amount of times I've heard it's a numbers game when it comes to covers is just insane. But so here's what I'm saying about YouTube. I know that their analytics are really good. People are already actively seeking out new music there, so you don't have to try to like break new ground there. It's not like you're It's not like you're expecting or whatever, relying on YouTube users to modify their current YouTube behavior. It's already happening there. Mm-hmm. YouTube is also bigger than music. People are going there to find music, comedy, movies, whatever, TV shows, sketches, anything. Like whether you're, just recording something in your basement or you're Comedy Central, you post everything up on YouTube. So it's a much bigger media hub. It may not be your social networking life hub, but it's your media hub.
Right.
And And so that almost to me sounds like you're streamlining your target audience, because then you're like, well, I only really, with Facebook, everybody's on there. With YouTube, a lot of people who are looking for new or just content they already know exists, they're already there looking for content. So you know they're trying to consume media when they go to YouTube. So to me, that might even, like, I was originally going to say Facebook is still better, but now I think I'm changing my own argument because I'm realizing that actually could be better. And YouTube, and I'm guilty of not utilizing this the way I should. I plan to soon. I got big plans, Jerry, big plans. And I'm like, but I know that they've upped their social networking features to the point where you really can connect with other content providers and people who are just subscribers in a way that you couldn't before. But anyway, and so what do you think about that idea of switching over, at least as a home base from Facebook to YouTube for bands?
Home base, as in like through source.
Yeah, no, it'd be like okay, right now my band posts on Facebook, but we link everything else to the Facebook. So we post on Facebook, it goes to Twitter, pictures go to whatever. Now that's the place we go to update, and then everything else is kind of secondary. You'd still, as a band, you'd still update your Facebook, but you update it the way Facebook is used. For YouTube, you would be, instead of like you'd be focusing on, you'd want to direct people to the links to your videos, even if it's just a still image with your song. That's where you want to direct them to go, as opposed to a Facebook link or a Bandcamp, whatever. Or you're encouraging, instead of, you give out your download cards, but instead of like adding a line about liking it on Facebook, you would want them to subscribe on YouTube. Now, you would just, these are just, we could go on and on and on about strategies of promoting, because different places and different parts of sections of your target audience are going to respond more to a YouTube link than they are to a Facebook link, and vice versa. So it's hard to really tell, but I think as far as gaining new listeners, YouTube should be the place that we're focusing.
So YouTube is powerful in the sense that, yes, people are going there for entertainment in various different shapes and sizes, and that's so weird. YouTube.
Yeah, shapes and sizes, just vertical and horizontal.
Yeah. And we all know if you're filming vertical, you're doing it.
Get the fuck out. Yep.
The biggest benefit, I guess more of an analytics standpoint that I see with YouTube, first of all, their analytics are pretty good on the back end. You can see where people are viewing, so that can help guide tour decisions. If you're seeing a lot of views in Baltimore or Austin or whatever, you can help let that guide you. You can see the engagement metrics and when people drop off. So you can get some really good analytics on your videos in that regard. The other powerful piece of YouTube comes in tagging, making sure that everything is optimized in how it's worded and how it's tagged, because that's how people are going to discover music. That's your music, your video specifically. That's key, is making sure that you have a really good tagging and naming strategy. Because I mean, really, it's SEO, search engine optimization, for video. So if putting content on YouTube, I mean, I think it's a really good strategy. I don't know if I'd make it necessarily a hub. I think I would definitely put a lot of emphasis on creating content there and strategically doing so. I'd put more effort into that certainly than YouTube, or than Facebook rather, hell, even Twitter. But I think it might almost be more beneficial to make something like Tumblr your hub, where you can customize the look and the feel. You can set it up so that it links between your social networks and automatically posts to Facebook, automatically posts to Twitter. You can also put something like Google Analytics on there, so you can also see traffic. You can put a link to that on your download cards. People come there, they see your content, they can go to your YouTube page, you can post YouTube videos through there, and it's also another really good, for a younger demographic, for those kind of middle school, high schoolers, that's a really good spot. That's where they're really active. I mean, a lot of it's weird GIFs and porn, but
Well, you can also tag that place. You can tag.
Yeah, you can tag the hell out of it. So, and it allows a lot more customization. So you could even put a tour schedule on there. You could make a mini website that functions as an update hub. You can have interactions. Your content can get spread. If it gets on the right eyes, it can get hundreds of shares if again tagged properly. So I'd almost make that a hub.
That's actually a good idea. I don't think, here's something I will argue with Tumblr, and this is part from my own experience and part from just seeing a million other bands that I know personally and how they use Tumblr. Getting new fans on Tumblr is extremely hard if you're the one reaching out. However, as a hub, I think you're very right about that. The more that I think about it, I used to, especially between the tags and like that's where people are most active. But from what I can tell, if you have fans already that post on Tumblr, that kind of reach is amazing. Fans who are already very, I guess, integrated into their own Tumblr communities. Right. It's almost like the people on Tumblr are very responsive to other people on Tumblr. But if you were a band posting stuff out there, I have horror story after horror story of band trying to post some content and getting the most nasty responses, just because it's just and mostly in the vein of you're an asshole for trying to promote something here. Or somebody posted, dude, these are huge on Tumblr, especially in like the whatever, like
I lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. Here's something that's very popular on Tumblr that gets spread from bands a lot, especially in the punk metal like slice of the music pie, right? So any alternative music, it'll be like a still image with some lyrics on it, like that's it of the band, and then like a little logo from the band. Fans will make those and they'll spread like wildfire. Like those things are great. I once saw a band make one, and it looked really cool, and it was for their own stuff. And a bunch of people responded, and they're like, this is disgusting. How dare you? It's so desperate when you make your own.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see that. I mean, you have to understand where you're communicating and how to yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you're on a social network to promote, but don't do what the users are doing because you think that's what they want. Just do what you do. If you're talking about putting content,
great advice, by the way. It takes years to get that out. Yeah.
Don't mimic what your fans are doing. They're already doing that shit. So if you give them the lyrics, or if you give them, just post the fucking MP3 so that they can listen to it. They'll listen to it. They'll find lyrics that are awesome, and then they'll fucking do that shit themselves. And you don't have to look like a douchebag by mimicking what they're doing. Yeah, and if you're focused on video content, just post video content. If that's what you want to share with people, don't pander to your audience. Just do what you do, and that will be so much more authentic than putting flowery lyrics on a picture of a puppy or whatever the hell.
You're making jokes about that, but what's that thing behind you? You got hearts and puppies on your wall.
It's not heart. It's a calendar. It's a coffee calendar that my wife made into an artful display as a decoration in our kitchen.
Oh, it's nice, but I like how
judging me.
You were like, don't put up your bullshit, pussy ass, flowers and hearts. You gotta be a man.
But you get what I'm going for, like, right?
No, you're right. But here's where, and this makes what I'm about to say makes no sense, but makes perfect sense to me as someone has lived through it, and I know a lot of bands agree. Did you drop your headphones?
No, I was just laughing because that's everything that you say.
Yeah, pretty much. And so, yeah, we've known each other a while. So, like, no, but here's the thing. There are a couple of things. One, do what you do and be honest about it. That's number one. And number two, I forget who gives a shit. But, like, no, yeah, so make sure what you're putting out there is honest and authentic, and just do what you do and hope people like it. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's mainly the only thing. So that's the truth. But here's the thing. Oh, and that download cards, or not download, but like going to shows and passing out download card CDs, whatever, that has like the lowest return rate in the history of the world.
How have you measured it?
Just
by downloads.
like over the next, it's not a perfect science, obviously, but over the next 72 hours after we do a big push with those,
Yeah.
and we'll specifically do it, then we'll monitor and see what happens. And there's always a spike, and then starts to drop. But we're the band giving out 1,000 of something and getting 50 in return, and so like that's actually, it's probably a worse return rate than that because we're giving out probably more than 1,000 at whatever thing you're talking about. So like those are two truths. However, I feel like every band needs to abandon both of those truths for a few years in order to grow. And the reason I think that is, one, you should, as a band, I don't think passing out the download cards or CDs works because you're passing them out. I think it works because it's a way of exposing people to your band name and exposing people to your face, especially if it's in a local scene.
Well, I think it's all about building relationships.
Yeah, If
you take American Aquarium for example, local guys here, all country band coming from the city of Whiskey Town.
You love promoting your locals. It's nice.
I mean,
it's awesome.
North Carolina music's where it's at. But since I've known them, since they started out as a group of college kids, they tour around the country and play to 6 people. But
it's a business model we can all get behind.
Yeah, exactly. And what they did is they kept going. They kept talking to people at shows. They kept getting to know people and faces and building deep relationships, something that you can't really do with social media. Honestly, you have to have that personal interaction with people in person, face to face, and they built these relationships. And now, I don't know, 6-7 years later, I see that they are playing shows around the country that are sold out. They're playing shows in Germany that are sold out, all because they're a touring machine. And when they tour, they not only play music, but they stop and they engage with their fans. And I think that will take you much further than anything on social media, honestly. It's building a personal relationship.
That's a little bit what I'm getting at, is that they it's that
what you're still being honest and true. You're still developing something that's real.
There's a great quote, I forget where I heard it from, except that I didn't, but the guy who said it's a douchebag, so fuck him. And he's not like he's famous or anything, so it doesn't even matter. This guy, he's out of the game. He's robbed enough bands, and he's out of the game. But he said it's better to make 5 real connections at a show than pass out 500 of something. Yeah. Which is absolutely true, and it follows exactly what you're saying. However, the other thing that I always said to myself, but never really, I didn't know if I was accurate or not. Now I hear it. Now that I talk to people who know what the fuck they're talking about, I hear it a lot more. So I'm happy that that's like accurate. Is that it takes people about 3 to 5 times of hearing your band name before they actually check out your music. Like a stranger, whatever. And you can't always make connections. You can't like your guys' band. They had to do all that touring. There are some limitations on other bands that can't provide. Like when you're on tour, you play a show. Number one, you're there for a reason to play the show. You're in a place for a period of time, so it's almost like you're not as needy. So you're like it's less needy when you hang out with the 6 people who are there, because what else are you gonna do? So it feels more natural, and then you can build those connections, and then you can keep on going. But that takes so if we're trying to streamline that and stay local, which is what a lot of bands are trying to do for the first couple of years, is you end up with so you'll want to get people to at least check out your band, and if your music's good, then great, and they'll continue to they'll like you. But so that's where passing out a shit ton of things comes from. But you're not. That's the thing that bands don't seem to get. You're not getting returns from passing things out because they're going to look at it and go listen to your music. You're getting returns because after they see your band on Facebook, like as an event, or somebody else mentioning them once or twice, you've handed them two download cards throughout. That next time they hear your name, that's when they check you out. And they don't check you out like, oh, here's this random thing somebody gave me on the street that, oh, I also watch them give out to everyone else. But it's, here's this band who has all this buzz, and I keep hearing their name. So you go in with a little bit of credibility, and you're almost given the benefit of the doubt when they listen to that first song. And so with that in mind, I think that's why bands should abandon that universal truth of the passing out download cards thing just indiscriminately isn't a great idea. The other thing, being authentic,
they should pass out the download cards.
Yes.
I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Not just from the constant, serving of impressions through download cards, but also, I mean, you're building brand recognition, and you can again track that. You might get a few clicks, but that's a few clicks. Gives you a little bit more insight into your now developing audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, but eventually that's a shitty idea. So you'll probably stop and just start going to smaller shows and meeting 5 to 10 people each time. That seems to be the way to go. So the other thing was with being genuine. I absolutely think at some point bands should. Usually it's when you stall out. If you never stall out, you keep on growing and growing, then never, obviously don't do this. But sometimes pandering to your audience, I feel, helps you grow as a musician in the way that you try a lot of stuff that fails on its own, but you can take small things from that. Like, for instance, going on Tumblr and posting those lyric posters of your own band, actually...
Just don't do that.
But here's the thing, you can at least take a little bit away from that. Maybe you got better at tagging posts because of that. Maybe you learned that, whatever. I mean, I'm just talking about like bands who are still learning. Like, obviously nobody just knows everything they're supposed to be doing. And then the other thing is that making music, because when you're writing music and you start out in a genre, the genres evolve. And you can write a record in June, put it out in December, and look like a dinosaur in January, because none of the other bands in your genre that everybody's now gravitating to sounds like that. You sound like bands from 5 years ago. Like that like as these genres as a whole start modifying, and through the internet, that happens much quicker than it ever did in the past.
That's kind of weird. This is where I think our realms divulge.
So what I'm saying, diverge, but
yes.
You've been reading too many young adult books
this morning, so I'm sorry.
So once you move on from so what I'm saying is so my personal experience of doing that various times throughout my musicalness has helped me in the end, because I may make a record which is 90% me and 10% the times, and so it's you're just incorporating a few little things into the songs. But then say you go on to another band, or you make your next record, you've forced yourself to learn something you didn't know before. You've worked on, you have more tools in your writer's toolbox, and I think that as long as the art you put out is good, and you find a way to naturally integrate things that may quote unquote pander to your audience, then I don't think. Good God, this is going to depress you. So there's a whole period of point in punk and pop punk music where hardcore had really taken a grip on so you'd make your pop punk song, and then you could do stuff you should just have the easiest or not easiest, but the simplest say it's the bridge of a song. Mm-hmm. And you just have everybody drop out except for the bassist, and the bassist is just playing bum 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 bum, and the whole crowd, I've seen this band after band, the whole crowd opens up and starts going fucking crazy for this 4-note bass line. And then I'm I just played 30 minutes of well-crafted songs that what the fuck, why do you like this? This is just the simplest 4-note fucking thing. And it's because it's oh no, that's what we like right now. I've seen that.
Can I go on a random rant real quick?
Yes, go for it.
So you mentioned the mosh pit opening up at this bass line. So I've noticed this a few times. Maybe this is just me being an old cynical aspect of this shit.
No, I wanted to hear this. That's why I told you.
That doesn't understand what the kids like these days. But I've gone to a few shows lately. I mean, I understand moshing. I have moshed. I have moshed when it is appropriate to mosh. I have respectfully moshed. I don't know if it's just the kids that are in this area or if it's a nationwide epidemic or what, but I've noticed this trend with people moshing to music that shouldn't be moshed to. They're moshing to mosh, and they're doing it so disrespectfully. They are violent. They are crowd surfing unnecessarily. I went to see a band that I think I would classify as a proto-punk revival, kind of like the Modern Lovers, except they're actually around right now. Parquet Courts. I don't know if you've listened to them, but they kind of get that like 80s, 90s talking.
Yeah.
Like it's not fucking mosh music. But there are these kids trying to crowd surf. There are these kids violently moshing, and I'm just sitting there like this feels like college rock to me. Why?
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here drinking a beer, and you're acting like it's some I don't know whatever the fuck concert, and it's not, and it bothers me. I'm waiting for that day when I go to a fucking folk show and there are kids that just start stage diving during the violin solo, or fiddle solo, I guess in this case. Like, what? Am I crazy? Or
No,
is that,
you're not.
okay.
It's and I think we're talking about it like it's the first time it's ever happened, but I bet this is just today's version of when every musical genre or every music scene or whatever it is, when it becomes less about music and more about we're here at the show, that makes us cool. Like, I want to take pictures of myself facing away from the band while the band is playing and post it on the internet because that means I'm cool. It's like, and it'd be very easy for us to sit here and go, it used to be about the music, but you know what? That's because to you and I, it is about the music. But there are lots and lots of people out there who music is not about the music. But so
now I'm depressed. Continue.
Yeah, good. No, I was going to say, so I want to. God, I'm going to have you on again because we're going to have to wrap up in the next 10 minutes.
Okay.
We actually went a while. That's pretty sweet. So I wanted to talk about how we know each other. Okay. So I'm going to recall some events, and I want to see if they're different in your memory.
Oh, man, I feel like I'm being psychoanalyzed right now.
No, I don't know how to do that. It's all a lie. Don't worry about it. And so we met, and I was a junior, and you were a freshman in college.
Correct. And
what did we meet because you wanted to work at the radio station, or was it because you came to a show I played, or how did we meet?
Why would I have come to a show that you played?
Because you were just coming to random shows. Get the fuck you. Join my band, idiot. Who's the band?
I think. Excuse me. When I first, being a freshman, I joined all the clubs.
Yeah.
One of them was like the student union board music committee or whatever. Because oh, cool, I like good music. I can help influence decisions and get good bands instead of really shitty bands. And so I was sitting on that committee for a while and realized that my chances at doing so were completely useless because everyone just wanted some John Mayer cover dude or something.
Of course they did. Yeah.
Some just manufactured piece of
shit. I knew 4 of them. They lived on my floor.
So your name came up as Spiff. It kind of legendarily, or infamously, I guess as I should.
Legendarily.
God, I shouldn't have had that scotch. Fuck.
What time is it? 6 in the morning?
And by scotch, I mean 12-year water. I think it's getting moldy. So your name was kind of infamous and like, oh fuck, we don't have an opener. I guess we'll have to do Spiff this time. Spiff just completely crashed this show. And,
that was my rap name.
Drove away the entire audience. How are we gonna keep him away from this? I think I stumbled into one of your shows, and I don't know if I left or not, or if I just kind of watched you from afar. But But
You know,
I
hey,
think
you know
we actually connected when I came to the radio station because I wanted to work at the radio station, and you were like the
Yeah,
I don't
I was the
remember what
music director. Say it. I want to
you
hear
weren't
you
the music
say
director
it.
when we met. You were like the,
Oh,
the
was it?
admin. You were the
Oh, I
admin,
was. Yeah,
the
yeah.
personnel director,
Yeah. Oh, right. That's right. I forgot all about that.
secretary.
Dude, I slept my way to the top. My wife ran the radio station. Dude, by the way, when you said you didn't know if you walked out on my show or not, I had a great. It's not even a good slam, but I thought it'd be funny.
Okay.
I'd be like, you know who never walked out on any of my shows? Your wife. She definitely. That's how I met her, because like she was like one of 10 people in my class who like actually went to go see shows, and so like, and I played every single one.
I really should thank you, because my current
Your current wife.
That's weird. My wife.
Dude, I say current wife all the time. It's great.
She was my soon-to-be girlfriend at the time. I met her because she came to a show. I think you invited her to a show. We met, we talked, and then it went from there. And now we're married.
Hell yeah!
And now I have a calendar decoration with coffee and hearts behind me. So I should probably.
That's the origin story of the coffee and heart picture.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we met at a Spotlight Effect show when I was actually in your band. So when I musically contributed to your music endeavors, which therefore made them improved. No reaction, delayed reaction.
No, I'm actually telling. I wanted to let you keep talking and half listen, because I'm telling my next podcast guest that we're going long. See, I'm a little bit professional. I just have to figure out. I had to reset my Reddit password. It was a whole thing. So so you were once I became the music director, you were my assistant, and you basically I told you to do. I was like, I've been bitching all about how easy it was to get more music and how to really build connections with all. But I was so lazy that I never did it. So I told you and Paul, who ended up joining the band later on, after we had a few members quit. You and Paul, I was like, why don't you guys just go online, email the bands that you like, and see if they send us some free shit. And ever since you guys spent one day doing that, and then all of a sudden, like every day we'd get boxes and boxes of CDs. It used to be like 10 CDs a week. It became like 40 CDs a day or 30 CDs a day. I don't want to exaggerate too much, but it was just like, because you guys got us connected from two promotion companies to about 11, because all of those bands just contacted their managers or their companies and were like, yeah, get them that, and gave us their info, and boom, we're getting CDs after CDs. I still have like 100 of them that I stole. Did you ever end up stealing CDs?
Oh, of course. I keep trying to sell them back to a UCD store, but there's no value in that shit anymore.
Yeah. Oh my god. No, dude, that's why I have so many, like, I have some really cool. I've given most of them away to like people who I know love these bands, but I have like there are so many like one of a kind like radio promotion only items that we got that I'd keep. Yeah. And then whenever I met somebody who was like, that's my favorite band, I've loved them forever, I'm like, oh, well, here's an early edition of their like first record.
Yeah.
So then you joined the band, you played some bass for us.
Yep.
And you were an okay bassist. You danced a little funny. Hey, I was a shitty guitarist who danced really funny. But we had some of the best stage banter.
Oh, it was great.
It wasn't until I started doing other bands that I realized that, like, because I'm not going to lie, with Spotlight Effect, because I'd just done it as Spiff by myself for so long, I never thought, I was like, oh yeah, I run the whatever, like, I've gotten good at crowd banter. But it wasn't until I had you, or when I didn't have you, where I realized, oh my god, Ryan was such an integral part to our live show because of that. Like, it was just so fun. You always, you know what you did? You were the first person I ever yes-anded with. We didn't know it at the time because neither of us have a background in fucking, what's it called? I guess it'd be like improv comedy. Because that's what yes-anding is always you propose like a situation or bring up something, and the other person, like, instead of pausing or wondering or disagreeing, I mean, you disagree, but the yes-anding concept is you just jump into the new bit. Like I would say something out of nowhere, and you would jump in the middle of it like we had already been talking about it for 20 minutes, like that kind of thing.
Of course.
And that was fantastic. I have a lot of bandmates now even who they do not yes-and. They try to take over, and it doesn't work very well. You gotta yes-and.
I think maybe that came from. I mean, I do love improv comedy, and in high school I dabbled in theater. So I mean, maybe there's part of that, but I think radio also, doing a radio show helped that. I mean, playing off of different people, I think helped that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't in it for. I mean, playing the music was
secondary.
No,
I'm just kidding.
But I mean, to me, it was hanging out, I was having fun, and our stage banter was there's no real difference between our stage banter and our actual conversations. I mean, we'd be in the car driving to a show, and you'd pull that sort of shit, and I'd either call you out on it, or I'd just keep going on something. I think it's all about the relationship with your bandmates. I think.
Yes. Dude, I've saved I found I sold my car recently.
Oh, really?
The car we took all of our trips in.
Oh.
I know, nice. Poor Versa. And it and when I was cleaning it out, I found from 7 years ago.
Oh,
of course.
God.
I found an old like a notebook that I guess it was one day. You and Matt, our guitarist, were in the back seat on the way. I'm guessing it was Luna Beam because it was like 3 hours each way.
Yeah.
And you guys were just drawing. I think Matt, it was one of those times, Matt would do the weirdest shit. Like one particular time, he just refused to talk. He just didn't talk. And so you were communicating with pictures.
Was that also the same time that on the way back he had this long conversation with his mom and like?
No, that was the first time. So okay, hold on. So quick history of the band thing. And by the way, soon, I'm gonna actually try to get this done in the next couple of weeks if you're available. Have you, Matt, and Paul, and we'll all get on this and see if Aaron can do it too, and we can just do a big one where we just talk about all that shit.
Oh, wonderful.
So we had a guitarist who quit after we played one show, and his girlfriend saw the show, and she told him to quit the band, so we quit the band. And then we had this guy Matt who just showed up one day, and I guess he had been to one of our shows or one show. He showed up. He came to I remember he came to my apartment, and we hung out and we talked about music and stuff, and you might have been there, I don't remember. But he could play guitar. He was really good. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I kept thinking, why does he want to play in our band? This doesn't make any sense to me.
He elevated the music so much.
Yeah, he did. It was fantastic. I'm so happy to have him in the band. And so we play this show. And he's also a freshman in college, right? So he's still 18 years old. So we go and play this show, and we play it. It went really well. So happy. We're driving home. It's me, you, Aaron, and Matt. And Matt is, he's just we're still getting to know him. We barely know this guy. And he just picks up his phone, and he goes, and he's just hold on one second. And he's like, oh, hey, Mom. Yeah, no, that's cool. No, that's the, no, I'm just with some friends right now. That's cool. Yeah. What? What? Fuck you! No, fuck you, Mom. No, go fuck. I don't care. No, I don't care if you're gonna pull me from school. Fuck you. He's like, you could do it. He started cussing out, and hangs up the phone and just kind of goes back to the conversation we were having, like nothing ever happened. And we're like, what the fuck? Are you okay? Are you? And he goes, and do you remember when he actually admitted that was fake? Or
no, I don't. Did he?
He did. It was in the drive, but I think it was 2 hours later. He was like, "Oh, just so you guys know, that wasn't real." But he had just met us. That was the second time he hung out with us. Oh my god, that was awesome. But yeah, no. So we played. I have the running tally of every show I've ever played somewhere. But in the time that you were in the band, which was to say the entire time, but I mean, as opposed to me playing solo stuff. And then, because when we formed the band, we didn't write new music. Mm-hmm. I just, we just figured out bass and guitar parts and stripped the rest out of the beats. So, so in that time that we played, I think it was like something like 40 plus shows. And it was only about if you exclude like the 2 hiatuses we took, just because like the band was basically done in between then and playing our last couple of shows.
Yeah.
It was barely more than a year. It was like a year and a half total time, but barely more than a year. And we played about 35 to 40 shows, which is pretty for like a small local band. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
But I always felt so. This is so douchey, but that's how I work. That's how I roll. Always felt so proud. Like I got to help navigate all of your first 2 years of college, and like, 'cause you guys, none of you all seemed like. Not that you wouldn't be later on, but you all kind of seemed like you grew up in your town, and this is college. And correct me if I'm wrong, but college was kind of like the first time where you had that kind of freedom and that kind of just ability to, I don't know, like break out of whatever place you grew up in.
Yeah, pretty much.
So like, yeah, and so I just felt very happy to be like to grab the three of you youngsters and throw you in my car and just drive and just drive.
Paul and I were hanging out earlier this. He actually went to that show.
Yeah.
Where the kids were moshing unnecessarily, and it made someone. And he referred to you as our band dad.
Oh yeah, that's by the way, every band I've ever been in refers to me as the band dad. But no, you guys were actually like, oh man, I can't tell you how like pumped I was. It was after I graduated and I came and visited, and you, Matt, and Paul were all living together. And when I came to visit you guys, you have no idea like how happy and proud I was of all of you, because you guys were all just like killing it in your prospective college careers after I left. And I was like, oh, it's nice. And I was bummed because you guys were like, we're not playing music anymore. but like that's still, it really just goes to show like we were the quintessential fuck it, I don't care band. And not in a we were lazy or we didn't like care, but it really was like we busted our ass to promote, or I did, and we all did really. And
no, you did.
But we played a shit ton of shows. We tried to put the best stage show on, but like the idea of being cool or being like rock star, whatever it was the furthest thing from any of our minds. Which is like we would do stuff on stage to make each other laugh. Like the crowd didn't even have to fucking be there. We just wanted to hang out with each other and make each other happy.
What keeps the flashback I keep getting is probably one of my favorite show memories is when we played at the now non-existent Marvell Event Center in Durham. Back when Durham was so much shadier than it is now.
Holy shit, yeah.
And we played for what, maybe like, was there even an audience, or did we just play for the band and the guy running the bar in the side?
We probably did that. We played there like 3 or 4 times, and there were two really good shows and 2 really shitty shows.
Well, I remember that the one show that we had where I think it was, I don't know if Matt was there. It might have been my friend David filling on guitar.
That show was great.
That show was fantastic. And
so we got the shitty show. There were probably just you're right. It's probably just a band and the one dude who booked the place. Yeah.
And we were fucking rolling on the floor and just like I don't even know it was just ridiculous. It's a fucking shit show. I don't even know how we sounded. The sound guy said that he fucking loved us. I don't know if it was because it was just like, I love you because you're absolutely horrible and fun to watch, or it's just like he actually enjoyed the music. I'm leaning towards.
We were a very fun band. Dude, yeah.
We just didn't give a shit. We just did whatever the hell on stage.
This was the best way to summarize that band. Was that every sound guy, bartender, booker, club owner, manager, all of them loved us. Oh, and other bands. Other bands always loved us.
It's probably because we were polite and not self-centered.
Oh, I thought it was because we were just kind of like fun to watch, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's a break from the norm. It's like,
we were the
being a douche about my monitor not being on.
Yeah, that too. Well, I was gonna say with the other bands at least, we were very much a band's band. Bands would come up to us and be like, "Oh man, I wish we could do that, but we want fans," because no one else liked us. We had like a small sliver of people who actually liked the music outside of the industry people, but we were very much we would get booked by venues who knew we couldn't bring a single person, but they didn't give a shit. They just wanted to see us. Like that was that. All right, cool. we're gonna wrap up. And I'm gonna have you I'm gonna hit you, Matt, and Ryan and Aaron. Ryan? Who the fuck is Ryan?
I know, some douchebag.
and Matt up, and we'll see if we can coordinate this over the next couple of weeks. I think
that sounds great.
All right, sweet man. Well, thank you.
Maybe we could. Well, I don't know if we could probably get them all in the same room, except for Aaron. But
no, I'd rather just do the. I like this. I don't need three of you ganging up on me. You'd all just fucking make faces at each other while I try to say something sentimental.
We're still gonna do that anyways.
Yeah, it's true. It'll just be like the three of you in the back of the car when I was driving. All right, man. All right. Well, it was so good to talk to you. I love you, brother. And,
we need to talk more, man.
I did. Well, that's why I'm doing this.
I miss your face.
I miss you most. All right. I am gonna go and talk to a stand-up comic who I will never love as much as you, unless like he knows somebody famous. In which case, Ryan who? No, I'm just kidding. It's Ryan Sweeney. All right. I will catch you later, man. Can we follow you on Twitter or anything?
Sure. If you want to see a tweet every year, it's just Ryan T Sweeney. It's 3 E's. SWEENEY if you spell it correctly.
It's Ryan T.S. Sweeney.
Ryan T.S. Sweeney. Like T.S. Eliot, but with more dick.
Exactly. All right. Well, on that note, I will see you later, dude.
Have a good one. Bye.